Good. I'm happy with the progress of where we're at right now. I think the strength and conditioning coaches did an unbelievable job getting these guys ready to roll for camp throughout the summer semester, and I think that the position coaches have done a great job with them mentally. The first week of training camp, because we've thrown a lot at them install-wise, and we've had some mentals, but nowhere near what we would have had at some of the other places I've been. So I'm pleased with where we're at mentally. I'm pleased with where we're at a conditioning level, and I'm really happy with the buy-in with our defensive football team right now.
How much of what you've thrown at them would you say is completely new, and how much of it's similar to what maybe they did in the past?
It's probably 75% new, 25% things that are similar. I mean, a lot of stuff in football is similar.
Yeah.
But sometimes your eyes might be a little bit different, or you might call it something different. So, but yeah, probably 75-25 right now.
Where do you sense your depth is overall with each group?
That's what we're trying to find out, and that's probably the biggest difference for me right now from for college football from the NFL. You go into NFL training camp, usually your top 14 to 15 players are locked up, whereas right now, I mean, we have a lot of competitive situations across each level of our defense. Defensive tackle, linebacker, safety, who are going to be the two starting corners. So every rep matters, even the walkthrough reps and individual reps. They're being evaluated at everything they do.
I'm just curious, Sam Duke Miller played obviously a lot early in his career, wasn't out there at all last year. How has he adjusted to being back here?
He's been great. He's been great, and what an awesome guy. Just as far as showing the younger guys the way. His work ethic in the weight room. He's a guy that, if I'm a young guy, that's a guy I want to watch and model myself and build my plan of attack off of. He's been great. He's been great mentally. He's been great physically. I'm glad he's back. Really glad he's back. So.
How the linebackers? I mean, that's the position group that I think everyone's focused on
Yep.
because so much production left after last year. You weren't here last year, but what did, from a blank slate, what's been your impression of them through 6 practices so far?
I mean, like I said, those guys are doing a great job, and they're competing. The heart and soul of any defense is your linebacking core. We did lose a lot of playing experience with the guys that graduate. Obviously, we have Bird back. Pete McIntyre's been around for a long time. But I'm confident that Timmy McGargle will have that group ready to go. He's a great coach, does a great job in the meeting room with them. He does a great job building men, not just football players. So it won't surprise me if we're pretty solid at that position this year.
Was he playing when you were coaching here?
He was.
Okay.
Yeah, yep, he was. Starting will linebacker. Yep.
200 tackles a year.
Yep, yeah. Another tackle. Timmy McGargle on the tackle. Timmy McGargle on the tackle.
Coach, kind of in the same vein as the last question, how have the DBs kind of stepped up? Some of the younger guys, because 2 starters left, some depth guys left. How have some of the younger guys filled in?
Yeah, I mean, I think there were a couple injuries late in the year. Greg didn't play every snap last year, so it was an awesome opportunity for C. Mitch and A.J. Hampton to get some playing time. So those guys have just continued to take steps. We're a little different with what we're asking them to do with some of the techniques. They've embraced them. They've bought in. They've done a good job with it. Rod Hurd's coming, and we have 2 young guys that are battling right now, and Nigel Williams and Garnett Hollis that I'm excited about. So that'll be a competitive position group as well. So.
What's it just the safety competition? Obviously Brandon's back, but other spot. What have you seen there so far?
Bryce Jackson and Coco, and then we have a transfer in Trent that came to us from Presbyterian, who's done a really nice job and has played a lot of football. And then we have a second-year player in Jaheim Joseph, who was recruited to be a corner that we moved to safety, who is really football smart and has really good instincts, and is one of our better communicators back there as far as pre-snap alerts, as far as formations, alerting guys as to what might happen. So that's like playing with a coach on the field. So we got some decisions to make as a coaching staff, and those guys are making it tough on us.
Overall, how have those transfers integrated so far? You got a couple on the D-line as well.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with the 2 on Miser and Pooler. I think both those guys are going to help us. So they're battling right now for roles. You're going to have to earn, playing time here. So, and those guys know that, and usually you got to earn it on 1st and 2nd down to get the 3rd down for us.
How many questions do you get about the NFL from them, especially guys that are interested in playing at that level or could play at that level?
A lot, and we've put quite a library up there for the guys. It's one of the things that I took from Coach Gruden. Save every clip. And the video coordinators probably didn't love me when I showed up with 6 terabytes of video for them to get on the server. But we got it up, and I think that anytime you put NFL film up, their eyes get a little bit bigger and they sit up a little bit straighter, because that's what they all aspire to go. That's where they all want to be.
Jake was saying how the college and NFL schemes, there's more crossover than ever. I'm curious how you look at that, and how much do you bring in, how much do you adjust from the college way up to what you've done?
There's some differences in the pass game. There's obviously some differences in the run game, but I mean, football's football. I mean, you still got to run the ball. You got to defeat blocks. You got to tackle. So I mean, the scheme stuff sometimes a little bit overrated. So that's. I mean, we do a great job running the football as a defense. We do a great job getting off blocks and tackling. We'll be just fine.
Are there any young players that have been stepping up in camp that have really surprised you?
Yeah, I'll just from the defensive line, I would say inside T-Raw and JB have done a nice job. They're competing at defensive end. I'm excited to see what happens in the next week or so with Sean. Okay, at linebacker, I'm really excited about Bryce. Obviously, his brother played a lot here. Okay, in the back end, I already talked about Jaheim Joseph, and I talked about Nigel Williams and Garnett Hollis. So I would hope in the next week or so we'll have a pretty clear picture of that group of guys, how much they're going to help us, or do they need another year to develop.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks,
Thanks.
appreciate
No
it.
problem, guys.